Welcome back to One English Cloud. Today we are going to deal with the lesson The Snake and the Mirror from ninth class English. One day, a homeopath asked a group of people whether a snake had ever coiled itself around any part of their body. Everyone became silent. Then he began to narrate his experience. It was a hot summer night at about 10 o'clock. The doctor had finished his dinner at a restaurant and returned to his small rented room. As he opened the door, he heard a familiar noise from above. Rats shared the room with him and often moved about on the roof. The house had no electricity, so he lit a kerosene lamp on the table with a match. The doctor had recently started his medical practice, so his earnings were meager. He possessed only a white shirt, a solitary black coat, a not-so-white vest, and about 60 rupees in his suitcase. After entering the room, he removed his coat, shirt, and vest and hung them on the wall. He opened the windows and prepared his bed. The room had a tiled roof supported by wooden beams, and rats regularly ran across them. Although he lay down on the bed, he could not sleep because of the heat and stillness of the night. After spending some time in the veranda, he returned to the room. He sat on a chair and took out a book called the Materia Medica. On the table stood a lamp, a large mirror, and a small comb. Seeing the mirror, he could not resist looking at himself. At that time, he was a young, unmarried doctor who admired beauty and liked to appear handsome. He combed his hair carefully and adjusted the parting. Looking closely at his face, he decided that he would shave daily and grow a thin mustache to improve his appearance. He smiled at his reflection and felt pleased. Then he made another resolution to keep a charming smile on his face at all times. He also began to dream about marriage. He imagined marrying a rich and fat woman doctor. He humorously reasoned that if he ever made a mistake and needed to run away, she would not be able to catch him. While he was lost in these thoughts, he heard the sound from above once again. He lit a bidi and paced around the room before returning to his chair. Suddenly, he heard a dull thud behind him. Thinking it was nothing serious, he turned around. At that very moment, a fat snake fell from the roof onto his shoulder. The snake's landing and his turning happened simultaneously. The doctor remained perfectly still. He neither screamed nor moved. The snake slowly slithered across his shoulder and coiled itself around his left arm above the elbow. Its hood spread out, and its head remained only a few inches from his face. The doctor felt as if he had turned into a stone statue. Though outwardly motionless, his mind worked rapidly. He realized that the slightest movement could provoke the snake to strike. Death seemed very close. Fear gripped him, and his arm gradually lost its strength under the snake's weight. He thought of God and prayed silently. He also reflected on his foolishness and vanity. Then something unexpected happened. The snake turned its head toward the mirror and appeared fascinated by its own reflection. It seemed to admire itself just as the doctor had admired himself a few moments earlier. The snake slowly unwound itself from the doctor's arm and moved onto his lap. From there, it crept onto the table and approached the mirror. The doctor watched carefully as it seemed absorbed in its reflection. The moment the snake moved away, he regained his courage. Quietly rising from the chair, he slipped out of the room, rushed through the veranda, jumped into the yard, and ran as fast as he could. The listeners breathed a sigh of relief when the doctor finished describing his escape. Someone jokingly asked whether his wife had turned out to be very fat. The doctor laughed and replied that fate had decided otherwise. His wife was actually a thin and active woman who could run like a sprinter. Another person asked whether the snake had followed him. The doctor explained that he had run straight to a friend's house, bathed, changed his clothes, and stayed there for the night. The next morning, he returned to his room with some friends to collect his belongings. To his surprise, most of his possessions had been stolen. The thief had cleaned out the room completely, leaving behind only the doctor's dirty vest. When asked whether he had ever seen the snake again, the doctor laughed and said that he had not. He believed that the snake had been too busy admiring its own beauty in the mirror to think about anything else. Hope you found this video helpful. Don't forget to attempt the online quiz. It helps you assess your understanding. Link is available in the description. Thanks for watching.